Jalen Johnson from the Atlanta Hawks. This was my pick. It is exceptionally hard. I just want to start up front here. It is exceptionally hard to find 6'9" elite level athletes like Jalen Johnson who also combine it with elite level body control and with elite level kind of explosiveness out in transition. And who can also combine that with real passing and playmaking vision. That is an unbelievable combination of things that make you a really high level player. Jalen Johnson last year averaged 16 points, 8.7 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 1.2 steals, 0.8 blocks. So was it 2 stocks per game? He was one of 8 players in the league to average 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game while shooting 50% from the field. That is a crazy, crazy high bar to clear. And he just cleared it, right? Like, we're not talking about a guy that is, sailing above it, because a lot of the guys that do this do end up kind of sailing above those marks, right? Nikola Jokic sails above these marks on some level. But it's hard to find guys that are this elite in transition who can really go and create transition opportunities in the way that he does. I think Jalen Johnson's ceiling is remarkably high based off of what we've seen so far. I think he has legitimate all-star ceiling. The big question is going to be the shooting, and if the shooting can get to any real level that allows him to hit that ceiling.
So I'm all in on the passing. I think he's an awesome passer, rebounded the heck out of the ball this year, which is really impressive. Almost 9 rebounds a game is really big time stuff. You mentioned, 50% from the field overall. Obviously the shooting. How impactful is the defense? Because as I look through my notes, it was like, okay, one game, has, maybe can be good defensively. And then another game, not doing a lot of things. Yeah. Giving up back doors, miss some box outs. How important is that to your ranking here? And where do you think his defense is at?
Yeah, I think he's a fine defender. I don't think he is a great defender at this point. I think he shows capabilities of being a very high level defender if things click into place. That's kind of what the hope is, right? Is that he can eventually be the kind of defender that takes on tough big wing assignments, right?
Yep.
That's what you're really hoping for. But man, to me, it's all about the offense. He's probably going to be a 20.9 rebound, 5 assists per game guy. And he's going to be able to create shots kind of on mismatches like we're seeing on the video here against Jamal Murray. He's going to be able to spin back and get into really difficult situations, get into really awesome, it's by difficult situations, I mean, it's difficult to create the shots that he's going to be capable of creating, I think. Sure. He's somebody that I actually wonder whether or not he's going to be able to bend defenses. I think he probably will be able to by the time that he is a little bit older and continues to grow as a ball handler and hopefully grows a little bit as a shooter. Some of the numbers aren't terrible at least, but yeah, I think Jalen Johnson has a chance to be just a total monster out in transition, in addition to hopefully being able to do a lot of the things that Jonathan Kaminga does in transition, which we already see him do, and off of cuts and everything. I just think that Jalen's just way more impactful. I think Jalen's just way more impactful with the ball in his hands at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no question there, right? We wanted to compare those two guys. What Kaminga, would you give Kaminga off the ball a little bit more? Cutting, play finishing, those type of things, just at the rim?
In the half court, yes.
Okay.
In the full court, no. I think Jalen is a more dynamic player because Jalen's also an elite level defensive rebounder and is able to create those plays at a much more substantial clip than what JK can, because I think that I think JK is a little bit more reliant on the others around him as opposed to Jalen, who can kind of just make those things
That
happen on his own.
so there's no question that Jalen is better with the ball in his hands and a better passer, right? I would assume you much by Jalen Johnson's jump shooting projections than Kaminga's.
I do. I do buy Jalen as a jump shooter more. Obviously, hit 36 from three this year. I don't know that he's that necessarily. I think that was a significant leap from anything we'd seen from him from any level. Made 73% of his free throws. I think there is some touch there, but like to me, it's really just about like dynamic athletic. I actually like Jalen's athleticism a little bit more
Okay.
than Kaminga's, for instance, because I think that his body control and his fluidity with the ball
He's
in his
much more
hands,
fluid than Kaminga. Kaminga's
I just
that
yeah, I
explosive
think
kind
he's
of
more dynamic.
okay. No, I was just it was comparing them a little bit, and then I was, defensively as well. So, but
Defensively, it's interesting. Like I think Jalen's like a real playmaker on defense. Like he has moments where like he's getting into passing lanes. He reads the court super well. Like the feel for the game when he was coming up, like in, Milwaukee, I guess, and then he transferred down to Florida for a minute, then went back up to Milwaukee. Like the feel for the game, nobody ever questioned that. Like he was always a guy that had super, super high level ability to see the court, right? It was just more how would it all kind of settle for him at the end of the day? And he had some things come up at Duke. He ended up like kind of leaving. I don't even remember if he left the Duke team or whatever it was. Like didn't play a whole lot his freshman season at the end of the day. Um, but the way that he ends up like kind of finding those creases and driving lanes, I think he's just like a super, super high level player. Again, though, needs to really improve the shooter and pull up threat. I think that he's a little bit further along than Kaminga is at this point, but like the real difference between the two, though, that we haven't brought up yet when comparing them is the passing.
yeah,
The
for
the
sure.
passing is really, really like a significant differentiator.
Sure.
Jalen Johnson can see the court and like really make high level plays. Uh, and he's like okay on the ball at times. I think he's like space cadet off the ball a little bit on defense, but like to me, it's the passing and playmaking that makes
Sure.
him like this guy has like all-star ceiling if things break right.
Sure.
Like he goes ahead of Ricochet to me, who they just took at one in the Hawks pecking order.
Yeah. I can see that.